here high and dry. Oh, well, I don't wanna jinx it, baby, and twist myself at the spine. Don't wanna overthink it, baby. It's just twist your body and mine. Baby, you give me ice and fire. You're giving me wind and rain. You're some kind of butterfly. Baby, you give me midnight. You whip up my appetite. Don't leave me here high and dry. Oh, but I don't wanna jinx it, baby. Let's not get ahead of my time. Oh, but I don't wanna miss you, baby. So I stand up and speak just my mind. Oh, baby, you give me ice and fire. You're chilling wind and rain. You're some kind of butterfly. Baby, you give me midnight. You whip up my appetite. Don't leave me here high and dry. Baby, you give me ice and fire. You're channeling wind and rain. You're some kind of butterfly. Baby, you give me midnight. You whip up my appetite. Don't leave me here high and dry. Oh, oh, oh.
Well, um, I am sitting here. I'm sitting here on a Friday night with all my friends who happen to be my dog, Mina, and somewhere back there is Sachi, my cat, and I've got this pulled up to make sure I'm live, and I have one person watching. Yay, me! Woo! I honestly thought this is what would happen on my first live, that like nobody would show up. But you know what? It's okay. It's a Friday night. Y'all have stuff to do. Some people are just getting home from work and eating supper, whatever. Um, I know yesterday was a huge day in Delphi, and so I, however, was sick as a dog. So I got home and I just could not. That's why I did that short little video, just to kind of recap if anybody wanted a short synopsis, because hey, uh I just couldn't. You know, do you ever have days where you just can't? um this is so funny because this is such a big day for me. And it's exactly how it should be. I mean, you know what, it's great. um So anyway, this video should be shorter because I don't have your comments to feed off of. And I do want to go through some things because I did have a friend who was in the courtroom yesterday, and she called me as I was pulling into the driveway, getting off work, and like we talked for a long, long, long time. And I took notes on what she said, but so I do have some information. I know you've probably seen this from so many sources, and you know, I don't want to get too heavily into it, although she gave me lots of notes. What I did want to focus on, though, tonight, because she did not realize that, she had a lot of questions about jail and jail life. And so I'm going to go a little bit into that and pick apart what happened, what the warden said, what Tobe said. Good old Tobe. We gotta love Tobe. The reason I'm laughing kind of hysterically is first because I've worked about 40 hours in the last 3 days. And so, that makes you a little bit tired, a little bit sick, a little bit delirious. Yeah. But the reason I'm really laughing is because today I hit that milestone. Like, for all new YouTube creators, getting to that, to really be anybody, like for YouTube to really recognize you as a creator, you have to have 1,000 subs and at least 4,000 watch hours, which I went way over on my watch hours. But today, I hit 1,000 subs. Woo! Yay! I need a sound effect. Oh, I have a person. I have a person. Hey, oh, now I can't see. Can y'all hear me? Can you hear? James Bowers. Yeah, I don't have my headphones on because I don't have a guest. I don't have to hear anything. Welcome, James. You are the only person here right now. And I think it is hysterically funny. But yeah, so like this is I thought I've got to go on and go live tonight because I just hit that. Oh, we've got another person. Yay! All y'all people who have subbed, like thank you, thank you, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Any creator will tell you it's not a game. This is hard work and you have no idea what goes on behind the scenes. But I promise I'm not going to keep you because there's somewhere I want to go too. Let's see, Lily Black 15. Yay, yes. And let me tell you let me just say a few things before I get started about the recap. I have some amazing support, not only from you wonderful people who continue to watch my antics and whatever, uh, but I have some great creator support. Um, if you, I assume y'all probably know the Evil CJ show. We were on together a couple of nights ago on this channel. CJ has done a great job. He's worked so hard to promote me when especially when I was, well, always, but especially when I was getting close to that benchmark. He has really pushed for me. So if you are coming to me from CJ, yeah, I'm gonna hop on his show and I want to hear his subject tonight. So unfortunately, I needed to do this to thank you all primarily. Big thanks, huge mwah, shout out. And another person I need to shout out is Crime Night, Joe Lewis. He's shouted me out several times this week, trying to get me to that 1,000. And look, y'all, that is what this community should be. It's not always, but it should be about. Love these guys. They're like polar opposites, but they're both amazing. So if you're not subscribed to them, absolutely go subscribe. Okay, now I am going to quit ranting and let's talk about and I'm going to kind of just brief over these notes because I know if you're watching this, you are probably already knee deep in the true crime community and you heard everybody's recap yesterday. But again, these are things that my source, who was in the courtroom, said. She said when Richard Allen came in, his eyes were dilated. And she said, and we'll get into the reasons why that may have been so. Oh, I'm losing light in a little bit. She said he was very, I don't know, like very almost confused. Like he really was just going through the motions, not really like, how people look, but they don't see. Yeah, she said he looked very odd. Hello, Keith Kellogg. Yes, thank you. And Keith has been following me for a while, and look, y'all know I couldn't do this without you. Um, Yes, like drugged, Keith. That's exactly what she said. And because I was asking her, and I'm looking at it from a medical standpoint, well, what was he doing? So, and we'll talk about that in just a second. She said the first witness was Tobe, which you've probably already heard. He is the one that drafted the motion to get to, I believe, for Richard Allen to go to Westville. Now, if you know this channel at all, you know I'm going to argue both sides, okay? And I believe that there is merit on both sides. So I'm trying to bring it together because you hear so much stuff about this and that and this treatment and that treatment, and they should have been able to do this, but in actuality, sometimes it's just not that way. And if you, I'm gonna make sure I don't miss anything here. If you saw my other videos about what was that, about 3 months ago, I did 2 videos on prison conditions or jail conditions in Richard Allen. So but I know not everybody has seen those. The main thing, uh the takeaway, okay, and I think this is what upset some people, is they said, when they asked Tobe, was there any immediate threats? Okay, was somebody threatening? I don't know what's going on my lights. I think it's just getting dark outside. Were there any immediate threats to Richard Allen when he got arrested? Like, was he getting, death threats? Was he getting, that kind of stuff? And Tobe says no. Sorry, I'm checking my light source. Uh, Tobe said no. So why then did they feel the need to move him to Westville? Well, there is a reason, and we will get into that. Uh, One of the big things that I didn't know, I know that Carroll County is way, way smaller than the county jail that I work in. If you're watching this and you didn't know, I am a nurse at a county jail. And so I've been, I've learned a whole lot, okay? Both good and bad. And our jail is way, way bigger. Hello, Tommy Baker. Whoop, whoop. I was like, you got to go back and see the replay because, like, the first 5 or 7 minutes, I'm talking to myself, which is hysterical when you're reaching. Like, I want to celebrate with everybody. We've reached the goal of 1,000 subs, and and I'm like, okay, and this is the only time I've ever gone live, and there's nobody in the chat, like not one person watching except me from my phone to make sure that it's working. So yeah. But anyway, the jail. Let's get back to the jail. The jail is much smaller. Okay, it has a huge. Our jail has a huge, huge capacity compared to Carroll County. Hello, Kelt. Hey, Kelt. I'm gonna join. I'm gonna jump in the chat of CJ's in just a minute. I wanted to recap and celebrate, so I'm very, very glad that you decided to come in here. Didn't get a notification. Oh, yeah, well, I didn't schedule it. Like, I just kind of threw this up here because I didn't know I was going to hit 1,000 today, but I did. What is up with this light? Anyway, Carroll County, Tobe says on the stand that Carroll County only has the capacity for 34 inmates. I mean, that's their. Now, it's true that sometimes, and probably more often than not, a facility has to go over their capacity because what you're going to do. You've already got people locked up, and somebody else commits some kind of crime, and you have to arrest them. I mean, you try not to let that happen, but sometimes, and that's where the overcrowding and stuff gets in. So, 34, but think about that. I know there's only less than 3,000 people in Carroll County, but 34 is a very small jail. And so the problem is that manpower. Tobe also said, according to my notes, according to what my source said, Tobe said that they have 5 to 6 corrections officers. Now, think about this. This is going to have to be every single shift covered. All right, round the clock. They got to have some days off. So you're talking about a shoestring staff, even in a bigger jail. Like, look, it's staffing and the ratio of corrections officers to inmates. It's a huge difference. Okay. Um, what we've read about that county, you would expect more beds. You are right, Cal. They should have built, 1,000 bed facility, but then they would have to actually. A lot of them would have to move in themselves, right? Jeez, what corruption. Anyway, am I too dark? Like my light just keeps fading and fading. Uh, that's weird. So that was my take. My biggest takeaway from what Tobe said is no, Richard Allen was not posing an immediate, was not an immediate danger so far as verbal threats or written threats. But they have a small jail, a very small staff. And here is the problem. If you saw my other videos about this, you know that um, you have to put someone who is in Richard Allen's situation and his charges in isolation because for his protective, it's not isolation. I mean, it is. That's what it amounts to, but it's referred to as protective custody. Okay, I'm going to go crazy here with these lights. Maybe that'll stay on. I don't know. We'll see. But with that being said, I'm sure they have at least one protective custody room, but it is going to take, now bear in mind, they've only got 5 or 6 corrections officers round the clock. So, now you have the problem of you're going to have at least 2 or 3, if not more, officers to take him out to get a shower and, whatever, have his hour out a day. And they don't even have that staff, okay? It's not feasible. I am going to try to see if I can make this light work. I don't know what the deal is. Anyway, so Tobe's argument for that was, okay, we don't have the space, we don't have the manpower, we cannot keep him safe. Now, no matter what you think of Tobe, he's right, okay? He's right. It's in a jail that size, there is no way you could keep Richard Allen safe. Hello, Raggedy Susan. Let's see, Kelt says, the argument that they cannot afford to move him. Well, how they afford to bring him to court every day for weeks. Yeah, well, that's going to kind of be on the state to make sure. Like, look, I don't know. I hope you can see me. This light here is fading quick. But anyway, that is why. Now, that doesn't say that they had to move him to Westville. Some counties, like if you have a tiny county and then you have bigger county facilities, even a couple of counties away, you kind of share with your neighbor. In our particular county, we do take inmates due to overcrowding and things like that from other facilities that just don't have the wherewithal. Could we keep somebody in protective custody? Yes. But even at that, like I said, it is a challenge, okay, to have enough personnel for these kinds of accused. And I think a lot of people are having the problem with, but he is not, he's not, what's the word? Y'all, my brains just fell right out of my head. He's not convicted. That's what he is. He's not convicted. He is, he's still innocent until proven guilty. I agree. 100%. So, but now again, you're talking about, are we going to keep him safe? Are we going to make sure he makes it to trial? That's still debatable, okay? And we'll get into that. But anyway, that was the biggest things that came up on my notes from Tobe. that I got from my source in the courtroom yesterday. Now, the difference also, okay, let me say this about the offenders and the county and the prison, or what we call DOC. So if you hear me say DOC, it's Department of Corrections, and I mean prison. The biggest problem with this is that in the county jail, we our facility does house DOC prisoners as well. So if they get convicted, or when they get convicted, and from that day on, they are our jail doesn't necessarily pay for them. The prison has to pay for them, even if they don't house them. They have to contribute a certain amount of whatever. Uh, it's a weird situation, okay? But there are some financials to that. However, a lot of people, especially if they are convicted and sentenced to like 2 to 3 years, they may, due to overcrowding, be serving out their sentence in the county jail. Now, um, with a county, you have a wide variety. That's what you have. You have a wide variety of types of prisoners, okay, or inmates. I mean, you have some people that are there because they're in the drunk tank. You have some there for literally for a bunch of parking tickets that they have failure to appear, or FTAs, and they have never gone to court, never paid their tickets. Boom, you've got a warrant. You're in the county jail. Child support, but in that you also have your murderers. You also have your pedos. Okay, I don't even know yet. I try not to say a whole lot so I don't get in trouble. But you have everything. The whole gamut is in the county jail. The difference is in Richard Allen's case, he is being held in a prison. Now, in a prison, these people have all been convicted, usually of a somewhat violent crime, right? Because it's gonna carry a longer sentence. It's a harsher punishment. So that is what we're, kind of looking at with that. Uh, it's a whole different clientele, you may say. There are some privileges to being in prison rather than the county jail. There are some more perks than you would get where I'm at, but again, different type of people. Okay. Uh, Kelt says, "Do you think he can physically make it for another 7 months or more?" Uh, phew, that's a tough one because it's a tough one because I don't know what's going on with him. Okay, he is obviously suffering mentally, maybe somewhat physically. I'm just giving up on this dang light. Oh, there's a little bit of light. Uh, because something's going on with him for sure. Oh, there's light. I guess I'm gonna have to hold this plug. Y'all see what I'm dealing with here. Uh, I hope it doesn't shock me. But at the rate he's going, if he continues to deteriorate, absolutely not. Could that be a motivation? Well, you know, it is what it is. But I mean, could it be that they're hoping he will not make it? Or is it just look? I honestly, and at the end of this, I'll probably say it again. All things considered, I think he really needs to even temporarily be moved to maybe a mental facility. I'm not saying not stand trial. He needs to be physically and mentally evaluated, I think, for a lot of reasons, and we'll get there. All right, they said okay, and this did bother me. So let me just say this right now because I had to ask one of the officers at work today, and that's why I'm kind of just doing this on the fly because I was at work all day, and I saw the vest. I think that's one of the things that grabbed my attention is when he was, I assumed wrongly, I guess, the first couple of appearances that he made in court, the vest, I thought it was protective, like Kevlar, something like that, because I assumed that they were afraid somebody would try to take him out. You know how that happens sometimes. And it's not. That's not the kind of vest it is. It is a, and I asked a veteran officer who actually teaches corrections, okay? Teaches different stuff. I was like, what kind of vest? Because I had heard uh, rumors that it was a shock vest, and that actually shocked me because I mean, I see people go to court every single week. Okay, we always have a lineup. People are shackled, hands and feet, and this dog leash or dog lead that they're talking about. Yes, most inmates when they're traveling somewhere to visitation or go into court, whatever, they are on a ours are on chains. We don't use the leash, so that's, I think I'd rather have a leash, but there are several reasons. So I asked my coworker, I'm like, okay, so why? I never see this, but he says yes. In our jail, we have that capability. Sometimes it's on the arm or wrist, sometimes it's around the ankle, or there can be a whole vest. And so I'm like, is that because they're like have shown violent tendencies? Like, I don't notice our people. I don't think I've ever seen any of our people in one of those, except maybe during a murder trial. Um, and he said, sorry, I'm doing stuff over here. But he said, yes, it could be one of two things. He said they could have shown some kind of like violent tendency, let's say, and we don't know this because we don't see his records from Westville. Has he tried to, hurt or lash out at a guard? I mean, he doesn't seem like, from what I can tell, that he was ever a violent person in his past. But then I got to thinking about it. If he is, or he is thinking about unaliving himself, then you have to keep them. You have to be able to subdue them quickly so they don't, like, jump in front of a car, jump off the staircase, whatever. It can get quite complicated. And he said those could be the reasons, or he said sometimes it is simply protocol. Okay, it's not that they've done anything wrong, but the jail rules, and everybody can, kind of do what they want to here. But if they feel like a situation could arise, then they, by protocol, just put everybody in one of those, if, depending on the crime. Like, I don't think, oh no, sorry, let me turn my phone off. I don't think that anybody was thinking that. But anyway, I don't know. Um, Let me go back to the comments. Hold on, because I don't want to miss what you're saying. Uh, my opinion is that they hope he, does pass away. Then they say, okay, it was Richard, case closed. Yes, I agree. Now, I don't know whether he's guilty or not, but I definitely think that if he is not guilty and they know he's not guilty, then they absolutely want to say case closed. And yeah, that's a win-win for them, right? They don't have to look for anybody else. Yeah, there's way too much. You were right, Keith. Too much going on. Uh, there are others. There are no other. There is no others. He had nothing to do with it. The angel just got its wings. Yeah, my phone. Yeah, and I have to say, Kelt, nothing surprises me with this case either. But in all fairness, okay, honestly, I think I have a lot of thoughts on this. But in all fairness, to what is going on with the jail conditions, I would say that he is, in a lot of ways, not maybe every way, but he's being treated normally. as you would have to. And if you like, I get more in depth in this in some of my older my videos from a few months ago. Like, if you really want to hear about the jail conditions and that kind of stuff, then go back. You'll find it. It's not that far back where you'll see those two videos, and I go in depth with the size of the cell and the way and the reasons. Okay, and probably a lot of you saw that. Um, All right. Now, here were some of the things. The witness number two I have written down as Max Baker. Baker from Logansport. He is an intern. He said he visited Richard Allen 4 times at Christmas and then 2 times in May. He said that when they were meeting, that there was no shakedown. Okay, and that his watch, his phone, nothing was patted down, which in my opinion, you should. You can't trust anybody. I mean, how do you think contraband gets in the jail? All right. They're real creative. Not to say that, the attorneys were doing anything wrong. It's just, it's protocol again. He said they were put in a room that was very hot. The door was slightly ajar. Um, and here is kind of a discrepancy. Now, I heard other people uh, say that there was no audio, that there was audio and video, okay, of his meetings with his attorneys. Highly, highly illegal. Okay, you can't do that. Now, I mean, it like where we have our lawyer meeting rooms, you have the room where the inmate is, and you have like the glass in between them. They talk between it because, I mean, let's get real. Sometimes the attorneys will tell you something you didn't want to hear, and the inmate is like, yeah, we're talking about criminals for the most part. So that's why they don't have them in the room together. However, there in ours, there is a camera out in the hallway that goes right into that room, but there is no audio. Okay, we have no audio on in that place. It's just so we can see what the inmate is doing um, while they're talking to their attorney, just making sure everybody's safe. Okay. Now, that was the person that was in the courtroom that I talked to yesterday. She said that they said there was no audio; it was just video. Now, I don't know how I guess you can mute it. I don't know. But then here's my other thing: do I trust everything that people say? Oh, there was no audio. No, I don't trust anybody. Yeah, sorry, I don't. Um, if Oh my gosh. If they have audio and video that have these conversations, we are looking at a big mess of stuff that the defense would probably ask to be thrown out. Like, you can't even use this in court because this was obtained illegally. There was a case of in Alaska. This is in 2018. I had the article, but I've lost it somewhere. Sorry, I've got something in my eyes. But yeah, there is an article about all the mess that happened when they busted a jail in Alaska doing this same thing. I'm not crossing my eyes, y'all. I literally have a hair right here. Well, I guess I am crossing my eyes. All right, I can see you a little bit. Um, let's see. Let me see what you're saying because I am just repeating. Hello, Carol. Thank you, Carol. We've got to get together and do our second part. Hooteran. I love that name. Hooteran. Silky, how they heard him say guilt on no sound or camera. Yeah. How did they say he was guilty or he implicated himself or there was no sound or camera on the inmates? Yeah, that's sketch too. It's sketch. I mean, they may have an explanation for that. Kelt says, and Murder Sheet said they were followed by a dude with the cam and it was propped on the edge of the window. Yeah, see, to me, that's now we're talking about Indiana, okay? I know how it is in our jail. I know we don't have the sound because that is private information. Um, We're talking about Indiana. I mean, do I believe there's no audio? Not unless you prove it to me. I don't know how you're going to do that, but I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Your track record, Indiana, not so good. That's my opinion. Allegedly. Hey, Jinxie. Oh no, it's Jinx run. No, don't run. I know you're pulling double time Jinx because I know you mod for CJ also, and I am going to uh try to hop in there really, really quick. Now, so that was the biggest thing I think that my source took away from that. Witness number 3 was a guard. She thinks his name. She said it was really, really hard to hear at this point. Like you couldn't hear, and they were all straining. She thinks that he said his name was Roderick Baskin. It's either Baskin or Baston, something like that. And he had been 5 years on the unit, but she couldn't hear what they were saying, and she was seated quite close to some of the family who couldn't hear either. Bet that was fun. So I don't really know. These are, I don't know if it was the testimony of he implicated himself. Shine like a diamond. Hello. Oh, you're modding for Meow. Okay. Okay. Well, good. Meow needs. She probably needs more mods than I do. I don't have hardly anybody in here. Uh So yeah, go back to the if you want to see, the loneliest thing you've ever seen, go back to the start of when I went live. It's like, okay, you could just hear crickets. Like, I've got 1,000 subs. Yay, let's celebrate. And I'm here with all my friends. It's just my dog and cat. Okay, so now I've got these notes, and I think a lot of people were like this. There was so much yesterday, like her notes were everywhere, so my notes are everywhere. The thing that we did get from the prison, and this is what you would not get in a county jail, okay? Richard Allen does get visits, okay? He was and now on his chirp, again, it's like a little tablet. We call them chirps. I don't know how big theirs are. Ours are the size of like an iPhone, and they're in a case thicker than this one. And so they're protected. Now he's with that. They said one of his he had actually broken one of his tablets, or the first tablet he was given, and I don't know if that was an accident. I don't know. I don't know what if he did it or if it happened, whatever. But the warden had actually said that he was issued another tablet, although that is not standard procedure. And I will say that is not standard procedure. In our jail, you break your chirp, you're going to pay for that chirp before you get another chirp. It's a fun word, isn't it? Chirp, chirp. Anyway, I digress. Now we have a witness, Edward Schroeder. He's from Cass County. He said that Richard Allen, they do have, let me call it, unaliving blankets. In other words, when you're going to unalive yourself and you're a danger to yourself. I don't know if it's an actual blanket. I'll just be honest with you, because we call them turtle suits. If you are in medical ISO because you are going to harm yourself, you are only in a turtle suit, okay? You don't get an extra blanket because you could harm yourself with the blanket. And if you don't know what a turtle suit is, go and Google the arrest photo of Brian Koberger. Because when he was arrested back December, his first picture to the world was him in this green funky looking thing, and it is a protection vest, but they do have to sleep in it. That's all. They don't, if they're going to harm themselves, they don't get underwear, stuff like that. Nothing that they could rip apart. You know, when I say they're creative, you have no idea how creative. But now, this one of the witnesses that said he had the same one that said he had visited him in December and May, and I didn't really understand that, and I don't think she really did either. She said that when he said she said that he said when he saw him in May, his face was bruised like a bad suntan. I don't I didn't really understand that because a bruise and a tan don't look the same at all. And I said to her, if he had like outside time, and you're, let's say you're out, our outside time is what we call the rec yard. It's like concrete and it's real tall, but there is no roof, so you get the sunlight. Well, if you're out there for an hour in the sunlight, it can get quite hot. You can, especially if you've been in there behind bars for a long time, and your skin is seeing the first sunlight for extended period that is hot. Yeah, you could get a burn really quick. So I was really confused about what that was. um Let me see what you're saying. uh okay. um let's see. He like I said, he was able to hug his wife. um Again, something that usually does not happen if you're in the county jail. You're not going to get that. So I guess their point, okay, the warden's point, was that he was being treated better than other inmates would in his uh, position, and I think that's probably true. Um, all right. Now here is the one of the biggest things is that it says that he previously had a normal state of mind. Like when they visited him before, he was normal. In fact, I've heard reports that he was cutting up with, his attorneys, and he had a generally positive attitude. And then all of a sudden he took a sharp nosedive. Now, again, in my other videos, I've talked about why that could happen. But it is extremely concerning. And here is the problem. Okay. Again, I do not know whether he is still, after all this, and Nick McClellan saying that, he kind of confessed, or he said enough to, several people that says that he was implicates him in that, in the unaliving of Abby and Libby. So here's the problem. If you are on medication, let's get into that, okay? Because I'm going to try to wrap this up pretty quick. Let's say, for example, you're in there and you're doing fine at first, but you can't sleep at night, okay? First of all, it's not comfortable, hard to sleep in jail. A lot of inmates request psych meds such as trazodone or something like that, that is a mild antidepressant, but has the side effect of making you really, really sleepy. So they may start on that. Well, here's the problem with psych meds. They often have the opposite effect. Now, something that also is given, it is an antipsychotic. So if he was starting to have any kind of episodes, they could have started him on something called quetiapine or Seroquel. I don't know if they did. Like a lot of inmates really like that, and I'm just saying, this is who I work with. A lot of them really like the Seroquel because it helps them sleep so well, and it calms them down. It is an antipsychotic, although it's not always taken that way. Same thing with olanzapine or Zyprexa. That is what olanzapine is. Sometimes they'll get a combination of that. Now the problem is that, you know how you can have you can prescribe something to help a problem, and especially with psych drugs, you have that rare occasion where instead of, helping your depression, it makes you more depressed, or instead of helping your psychosis, that might be mild, like you're just kind of seeing things that aren't there or whatever, and you're thinking, okay, I'm cracking up. Don't tell me y'all never thought, I'm cracking up. I know I have. But not on any psychotics. Antipsychotics. I might be on psychotics. I don't know. Uh, but anyway, yeah, it can actually have the opposite effect. Okay. So, for example, I went to this is like 20, long, long, long time ago. I went to a doctor and I said, "Hey, I am just having trouble sleeping. I need just something that will make me go to sleep and stay asleep." And this particular doctor just decided that I was depressed. And I kept telling her, "I'm not depressed. I can't sleep. Like, I really don't have any reason to be depressed. I literally just, cannot relax and stay asleep." Of course, my kids were small too. And so she insisted that I try a certain prescription. And I did. And within a week, my whole family was ready to kill me. I was so mean. I was hateful. I still couldn't sleep, and I had all the things that she said I had when I didn't have them, but now I had them. So I just quit taking that medicine. I'm like, no. I mean, basically, my family said, "You will either stop taking this, or, you got to move out." So I did. But let me tell you what happened. For 6 months after that, I felt depressed. Like, all of a sudden, it messed up my system, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And it is a very it's still prescribed today very heavily, and it is usually a pretty safe drug. However, on me, it caused a big problem. Now, make sure I'm not missing anything. Hello, Aries Fire. Um, yeah, I hope. Yeah, there's a lot we're gonna look at. Yeah, there's a lot of things that we're going to find out in those documents. I was also looking at this from Michelle. Hello, Michelle. Silky, they shouldn't drug a person who is going to court. Mental hospitals have to stop all drugs at least 24 hours before a patient goes to court. Yeah, I agree. We don't necessarily, well, we don't usually have people in this kind. Let me just say this, with the ones that we send to court, they're on heavy, heavy psych drugs. You better give them something. You better give them something. But yeah, in this case, a lot of my source who was there said he was very drugged up, eyes dilated, and let me tell you, um, it can be from a lot of things. Benzodiazepines can do that. Um, Also, antipsychotics. Seroquel can do that. Okay, like I said, I don't know how Indiana is, but prescribers in Alabama tend to love Seroquel for psychosis, anxiety, sleep disorders, and stuff like that. And I usually don't have a problem, side effects. Certainly not like I have seen, and I just observed Richard Allen, um, on TV, and the way he looked. But my patients don't look like that. I'm just going to tell you right now. They don't go out, they don't walk around the jail in that condition. Okay. And they certainly don't go to court in that condition. And I guess that is one of the things. Now, about his weight loss, uh, yeah, usually the vast majority, and I said this in my other video, the vast majority of your people are going to gain weight. Okay, we see everybody get fluffier in jail. One is because they're having a lot of snacks. The food is processed. It is what it is. We have pretty decent food actually, but a lot of the things are processed. Lunches are smaller meals. Breakfasts are big, supper's big, lunch is a kind of a smaller meal. And so you'll get a sandwich, and it's got, of course, lunch meat, which is processed, bread is processed. So you add that up. They get decent portions, but it's just you add it up and you're eating not so healthy. There's not a lot of fresh fruits and fresh. I think I had this. I couldn't say this in the video that I did either. Fresh fruits and vegetables. Not gonna happen so much in jail. Um, let's see. Now, for that reason, a lot of people gain weight. Some people get depressed and they don't eat. They lose weight. But most of the time, a weight loss, like, look, it could be a health problem, okay? Uh, it could be the psych drugs. That is a very normal side effect of taking psych medications is you literally lose your appetite, okay? Especially antidepressants. And it's weird. You lose your it helps with your depression, sorta, but you really don't take pleasure in anything either. I mean, look, it's some people have to have it, but it does definitely hamper other areas of your life. And I'm not going to get into all that, but it is definitely can make changes. All right. Let me see. Hold on. Let me look at what you said. Keith Kellogg says the inmates in your jail don't know how lucky they are to have open, honest minded nurse lady like you. Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. I do try to take care of them the best I can. You have no idea. Some people are a real challenge. Had a real challenge this morning. But I do care. Psychiatric medications. I'm sorry, Samantha. I can't. I need a mouse. Psychiatric medications are horrible on the body, and some are dangerous for the mind. Absolutely. I was just talking about my own, and mine was just to help me sleep. A pill for depression. It was the worst thing I ever did. Um. Okay. Let me put that one up there. So stick that up there for just a second because that's important. Now, let's see. Let's talk about his commissary. All right. Now, this is what my source said that they said in court is that yes, he did have money for commissary. And, when you're using that tablet for, communication, text, whatever, it is like they charge you per text. Okay. That is one of the ways the jails fund themselves. And, but they said, suppose, this is what I was told, that Richard Allen was not spending his commissary money on food so much, but on clothes. Now, I thought that was odd for a man, but then I thought if he is losing weight quickly, I mean, jail's not where you want your pants to fall around your, ankles, okay? This, you know, you get it? I'm sure you do. Yeah, I would want to make sure my clothes fit. Um, okay, Michelle says yes. Silky, the guards were holding him up when he was walking. Yeah, that's what I heard. Um, and Aries Fire says that she has no opinion on RA. Yeah, yeah. I still, even after all this, I go back and forth, back and forth. There's, I understand most of the jail conditions. Okay, I really do, and a lot of people, and I've heard this over and over when I did my last video, so I had to do a second one to say, I don't know, Westville, okay? Are there 100 ways that you can make someone's life miserable and still be within the law? Yes, absolutely. A bad jail will do that. But as far as the general conditions, hey, look, that is going to be everywhere. It's neither better nor worse for Richard Allen. And the problems that a lot of people have, like if that's an issue, then you need to be fighting for jail reform or more funding, eh, uh, because Most jails do the best they can with the resources, the money, the personnel that they've got. So, it's not like when you're going to vote for somebody that they're saying, yeah, we want to put a lot of money into the jails. Because guess what? That doesn't get votes. And not until you start looking into this and you realize, like, hey, there is a problem, you know, maybe we should fund more of this stuff. Maybe we should have more officers. Yes. Yeah, they should have a bigger budget. Of course they should. Um, but then other people are like, well, we don't want anybody to be comfortable in jail. No, but let me tell you, some people are going to be no matter what, no matter how bad the conditions. Some people thrive in that environment. Only three sets of clothes that Rose says. Hello, Rose, if I didn't say hello to you. Only three sets of clothing for 7 days. Yes. Yeah. Because they bathe 3 times a week. Again, you're talking about now if he can buy and our inmates can buy clothes as well. If they can buy enough clothes, then they can change every day. But issued clothes, yeah, it doesn't happen every day. Because guess what? You are, let's just say you're on a small scale, you're allotted 100 uniforms, and you've got 50 people. And then, you have some accidents during the day, you have new people coming in, whatever. You can't always, and this is much broader scale, but you can't change, you don't have enough people to do the laundry to make that turnaround every single day, especially if you have a lot of inmates. So yeah, again, you know some people don't even bathe 3 times a week, but that's not the people we're talking about. Whatever. And some of them don't want to bathe. There's that issue. Should they be able to get a shower every day? Yeah, I think they should. They probably wouldn't, a lot of them, but uh, again, you're talking about water, resources, electricity. The We're talking about funding and what they have available. So yeah, it's like, if you have ever been in a situation where you had to decide, well, do I pay my light bill or do I buy groceries? It's kind of like, you know, let me see if they'll take a partial payment and I'll eat ramen noodles. You kind of have to go back and forth like that. It's sometimes making the best decision in a terrible situation. Uh, and it is what it is. I don't like it either, but we're kind of limited by the funds. Yes, Rose, it is depressing. It sure is, and that is and so for some people, and I imagine, I don't know, Richard Allen, but I imagine somebody who has never been in jail that we know of before, all of a sudden you're in here, possibly like boom, in a day, your life changes. You're going from this guy who's been out his whole life, and all of a sudden you're in this environment, and yeah, it's crazy. Could you get thrown into a depression when you actually you think, oh, well, crap, I might not get out of this. And here's the thing: when they didn't go into in depth, from what I understand, in the courtroom about these alleged confessions, okay? If there can be a lot of reasons, but if a medicine can make an antipsychotic can make you more psychotic, which is possible, a bad side effect, whatever. And look, there are a lot of factors that could be drummed into his head. If he is losing his grasp on reality due to depression, due to um, physical issues, due to what we call masked bipolar disorder, or things, basically, there are certain drugs that when you take them, you maybe prescribed them for one reason, and nobody has ever diagnosed you with being bipolar, because the bipolar can be just tiny little blips on the normal line to woo, up and down. but a lot of times psychiatric drug will unmask some hidden conditions like that. So all of a sudden, things that people didn't notice before are coming to the forefront. Um, and without seeing psychiatric records, we do not know. However, um, somebody who is in a state of psychosis, or they're having a bad side effect. I mean, for example, now this isn't a psych drug, but I was in the hospital once and I wanted to take Benadryl to sleep. And they said, no, we're not going to give you Benadryl, we'll give you Ambien. A lot of y'all have probably taken Ambien and hallucinated your butts off. Well, that's what I did. I woke up in the middle of the night and I could see this pond on the wall, and it looked like fish were swimming around this fountain. And I'm watching these things move, and I happened to work at that hospital, so I knew what the wallpaper looked like. And I sat there watching a scene that my mind said, okay, this ain't happening. And I knew I am hallucinating my butt off. Like, I know. I see a fountain and fish and water, but I know that's not on the wall because I know where I'm at. Now, that was just one pill of Ambien. There are horror stories about people who have bad reactions to that. So you take a relatively safe drug, supposedly, and and then you compare it with giving somebody an antipsychotic or any kind of mood altering drug. There is always the potential for a big fat mess, okay? So you know, yes, Kel, that was a long time ago. Yes, it does. I'm not going to say that it does uh, quash some of your drives, those antidepressants. Um, okay, Keith says no one knows what goes on behind closed doors. Yeah, especially, yeah. So Richard Allen, okay, let me address this. They said he's an ISO, but he has a companion. They have a companion program. So, in some of our medical ISOs, even people in who are in there for trying to, or saying they want to unalive themselves or whatever, that are at risk, they may be put in that ISO with another inmate. And so I don't know if they're talking about that, if he is actually sharing that room with someone, or if they have like what I would call a trustee or somebody who is there. But now he is not by himself. That's my understanding. He's not by himself 24/7 in a little hole, because I think just about anybody would crack up under those circumstances. Um, but let's go on. Let's see. I think that is the main thing. Oh, one thing that they did say, and they were asking medical questions because he's had so much weight loss, and definitely he looks like a different person. They said, according to the medical staff, that his BMI is within normal limits. He was a little pudgy before he, went to jail. So, um, he looks to me, he looks like he needs to eat a bean or two, but he has gotten quite thin. However, if you really look at the doctor's BMIs, like what they call obese is here in America, that's what we call, that's normal weight for somebody. So a BMI for what somebody actually looks like at that weight would usually say they're too skinny. Um, but that's just, it depends too on the age. Kelt says, even if we all believed he is guilty, we must not let him be abused. Absolutely, yes. Yet, if we wanted to him to be mistreated, then they can do it to anyone, and anyone could one day be you. Absolutely, absolutely. Like I said, there are 100 ways that you can make somebody's life miserable and still be within the jail rules and regulations. A bad jail will do that. Is Westfield one of those? They've not had good reports. I mean, I don't work there. I could not say for sure. But anyway, that is There are so many things going on with the jail and the treatment. Some of them are completely within normal limits. Some of them are questionable. I do question if he had bruises, but then again, here you go. Not to say that there isn't some abuse. I don't know if there is or isn't. All right, but a lot of times people who are in isolation and they want to harm themselves. I mean, look, I've seen inmates just like recently take, and they have in ISO they have like a small window. They've got the where the tray can go in and out at the bottom, but then they'll have a glass window up here. It's not breakable glass, but I've seen people beat their heads against the glass. I've seen people beat themselves against the metal beds, the floor. uh you don't understand sometimes um how hard it is to keep people safe. And some people, a lot, let me just say this, a lot of people in jail, including the jail that I work at, really shouldn't be in jail. They need long-term mental health help. But the cutbacks in mental health have been so bad, and there's no money. So what you're going to do, you've got a violent guy out here who is you can't let him out. First of all, he's probably got a longer jail term, but even if you wanted to turn him out and say, okay, he's safe, he's not. You can't let him out of jail. But being in jail, he's not really paying for his crime because he really doesn't know what the heck is going on most of the time. And they lash out, they have all these episodes, and a jail is not, it's not sufficient to treat mental health. Now, I will say this, because he is in a prison, he has access to way more medical staff than a county jail. So if they do move him to Cass County, I would think that he's not looking at, a psychiatrist who is on board and who is there every day. We do have mental health services where we're at, but it might take you a while to get on them because people, the practitioners are stretched out for more than one jail. Like they take care of a lot of different places. Again, because there is not funding for this. I believe truly a lot of people who are arrested and commit these crimes, even especially people maybe on addicts who are in there for charges, drug charges. Uh, I think the problem is they do have a mental health issue and they're self-medicating, and they do it the wrong way, but it happens. All right, does anybody, let me make sure because I think I'm about to, yeah, thank you, Professor Professor Pug. I can't talk tonight, y'all. I don't know I think I'm just tired. uh Michelle says they may be afraid to bathe if you, yeah, not just bathing, I'm just telling you. It is a society of its own, and it is not always a good one. Um, and here's the thing. At this point, uh, because I can see, even just looking at, even being an advocate for jail treatment, and I say this because I believe that the jail that I work in does the best that we can with everybody, all the staff, with what we've got to work with. Um, are all jails like that? Absolutely not. I'm very lucky to work where I do. But I look at him and I would be, if he were in my jail, I would be really, really, really concerned about his health and mental status just to look at him. And because of that, and now they're saying he has confessed again. If what his defense attorneys say is true, that it's because of his mental condition and psychosis, whatever. We don't know if that's true or not. There's going to have to be a lot of argument and probably some medical records to back that up. But if that's true, and they're going to try to put him away for that or convict him, um, I am I almost, in that case, hope that he is guilty, that he did do it, because his life is never going to be the same. Basically, they ruined his life. It, even if he was found innocent, this is going to haunt him. If he did confess, certainly. If he did do it, again, I think there are plenty of other people involved. But if he did do it, of course, I want to see him prosecuted. Now, that being said, I've got a lot of patients in my jail that are unalivers of people. So, uh, I don't treat them any differently because of their charge. But it's a challenge sometimes. I hope in that case, bottom line is that he is guilty, because it's going to be really sad. It's a really sad case if he's not. So, of course, I want the truth. I want the truth out there, first and foremost, but it's going to be rough. Okay. Oh my gosh, there's a lot of comments. Good Lord. Uh, I've missed a lot. All right. I'm about to, let's see. Okay, who is this? Kelt says, Michelle, I had a cop tell me no good deed goes unpunished. This was after I stopped the kid across the street from unaliving a puppy. Next day, my front window was shot. Oh, wow. Yeah, look. And it's a whole different social structure in jail, even in the county jail. Y'all don't even want to know. I'll just tell you that. Y'all don't even want to know. Uh, you think you do, but you don't. It is a rough life, okay? And that's all I'll say about that. Things run completely differently in jail, and even more so in prison. Uh, and because of that, if it weren't for the mental breakdown that he's having, I would say he's better off in isolation. Definitely more protected. Um, you don't want to have to deal with the hierarchy and the stuff of being in the block. And, eventually he probably, if he is found guilty, he'd probably have to be in general population. And, yeah, that's an even worse life. It's bad. It's just bad. So, for that reason, I hope that, he was involved. I feel for the family. I really do. I can't imagine what they're going through, and that's both sides of the family. The victims, the potential perpetrator. Like, this is, I don't care. I don't care. It's got to be emotionally rough on everybody, the guilty and the not guilty. Okay, we'll just leave it that way. Y'all can figure out who's guilty. I sure don't know. All right, let's see here. Okay. All right. Okay. Do we know if these admissions or confessions were recorded? It is not unusual for inmates to latch onto high profile cases claiming they have inside info to try and lessen their own time. Just saying. Absolutely. Did I say that right? Absolutely, Kay. You are so right about that. Yeah, if they can add to this, here's the thing: inmates, they have no loyalty. So don't ever think that they do, no matter, how they treat you, how they talk to you, how they're what inmates have no loyalty across the board. That is, I know it's a generalization, but it's about 99.9% true. Um, they are manipulators, okay? The criminal element is they're just manipulators. So they will literally do anything. I mean, they don't care to get up and testify and say something false and know that you're going to get the death penalty if they get more honey buns. I mean, it is that bad. It's the way that a lot of these people think, okay? What have they got to lose? Nothing. Um, so, yeah, it's very common that you see this and then they turn out that it wasn't true. What if, hypothetically, okay? Not saying that anybody is doing anything wrong, because I don't know. But let's say the people in power do want him to not make it to trial and be suppressed. Would they be tempted to suggest to some inmates that have had interaction with him that they may have heard, you may have heard him say that he was involved in this way or that way. Um, you know, we could make your accommodations more comfortable. You could have an extra mat. We could, make sure you get this or that privilege. Um, Hypothetically, that's what we'd do if someone could help the case. Does that kind of crap happen? Yeah, sure does. You got dirty COs. No matter how much you want to hire the best people, it happens. It does. A lot. A lot. Um, so there you go. And I am sure also that this is something that the uh, defense is going to bring up. Absolutely. All right, I keep saying I'm going to shut up. Okay, Professor Pug, my men's will not rest until we find out who the others, yes, I believe are involved. RA is not alone. He needs to sing like a bird and give them up. Yes, if that is my hope. If Richard Allen is involved in any way, I hope he does sing like a bird. And maybe that is what they're afraid of. Could it be? Sure. It sounded bad. I was at work yesterday when I heard the news first break, and I was like, "Oh my God, he confessed!" Like I'm just flabbergasted. Um, Not that I didn't think that he could be involved, but I was like, "Dang!" But that is not what they said. Okay, and is the defense going to pull this apart? Yes. Now, sometimes the defense just wants to make a good defense, and they're going to try to get him in a mental facility, which I personally think he needs anyway. But people are going to say, "Oh, the defense just worked this way and that way," and it's a bunch of crap. Well, sometimes it is true. The defense does do that, but it doesn't mean it's true every time. Okay. And the thing is Richard Allen he don't look good. Okay. He looks bad. Okay, let me see this. uh Samantha Springman says, I just don't see someone presumed innocent until court being kept at a prison. Yeah, except there is no alternative, not for Carroll County. With the amount of people that, I'm just telling you, if they had bigger county jails, if he were in a bigger place, I would say absolutely. However, the chances of him making it to trial in a small, when you have just a few officers and you have a small staff and a small jail, you have a much greater chance of having an accident. You can fall in the shower a whole lot easier if you're one on one with an officer instead of four officers. I see, and I absolutely agree. He shouldn't be treated as guilty, but I mean, I understood, and y'all know I have never been a big fan of Tobe. But I did know from based on what my source told me, what he said, I understood why he said that, and if that is the size of the jail, he is absolutely correct. He can't be safely kept there. Um, all right. Let's see. It is yeah. Let me go back to here. It is a national crisis. Absolutely, absolutely, Michelle. Mental health patients are being warehoused in jails instead of getting help. Yeah, it's horrible. It's horrible. Do we need jail reform? Yes. Do we need more funding for mental health? Yes, we do. I mean, we seem to find money for other stupid things. I'm not going to name names in the government. We seem to find funding for a lot of stuff that it's not needed nearly as badly as this. But, these are the people that have been elected. So what you going to do? Uh, Kelt says they are kicking the violent ones back on the street. Yes, sometimes that's true. Sometimes that's true. Um, they serve their sentence, and basically, uh, I have a lot of inmates that have there are wards of the DOC, but they're still housed at our jail, and they can't wait till the prison train comes because they know once they get to prison, first they have a greater access to contraband, and secondly, because the prisons are so overcrowded, the prisons reduce their sentences for good time, and they actually get out of prison when they leave us to serve out the rest of their sentence. They get out of prison faster than they would if they stayed with us. And they know that. So when they know the prison train is coming, they're like, woo! I'm going to prison. I'm like, whatever. Y'all, yeehaw, have a good time, I guess. I don't know what to tell them. Why don't you stay out of jail? But I've said that. Okay. Kay says, let me go back up here. Uh, okay. It would take a lot of cojones to admit that these prisoners, to admit to these prisoners that you're yeah. Well, okay, let me tell you that you're the kind of crimes, we'll just say that. Unless you're looking for someone to take you out. Yeah. Now, I don't know how prison does it. I know how we do it. We have so many blocks of X number of inmates. When we have somebody that comes in that has child charges, underage sex charges, I don't know what I can say, that kind of thing. All of those, the way that we do it is all of those types of crimes go in the same block. Okay. And the reason we do that is because the chances of you getting hurt because of your crime is much less if the guy beside you that's, he's not going to yell at you and call you out for your crime when he's done the same dang thing. Um, yeah, so that's how we do that. Sometimes people aren't. They're in a certain block, but they're not one of those kind of people. But basically, there's nowhere else to put them. So, uh, but yes, it can be a real thing. Uh, Yeah, and they're saying Kay was asking who did he make these confessions to if he was in solitary. Well, I'm guessing that it was his companion or maybe even some of the COs if this did indeed happen, and like they said, it could have been to some of the COs, medical staff, whatever. But look, when you're psychotic, let's just say hypothetically, I don't know that this happened, don't have any reason to think it did. What if his companion was drilling into his head, I know you did it. Tell me how you did it. Did you say something just to get somebody off your back? Did you say something to make yourself look more tough in jail? I mean, you don't know. There's so many reasons. There's so many false confessions. Actually, somebody had commented on my short video last night about the case of Ben Needham in the UK, and I looked it up while I was at work today, and yeah, I'd be daggummed. This child went missing, and it's like a whole interesting story. But basically, at one point, his uncle confessed to unaliving this basically baby, because he was there, like in the vicinity, and he began to think, maybe I'm just forgetting. So he had hypnosis, and he went back through all this, and yeah, he truly, truly believed he had committed that crime and buried uh, the toddler. And turns out he didn't. Completely innocent, you know? So there you go. Is there a lot of room for error? Absolutely. All right. I've got to get off here, really, because I don't want to keep you. I know, like, it's Friday night. Um, All right. Thank you, Aries Fire. Thank you. Thank you. You have a good night. Um, Miss Samantha, funny how Muddy Bloody Witness had attempted. Yeah, we all know that story. I've heard some people say that's not true. I've heard some people say it is. I don't know. The story is apparently true. Now, whether that's the Muddy Bloody Witness, I don't know. Was a heck of a story though. I did a whole episode on that one a few months ago. I had a blast with that one. It was tragic, but it was also like you can't make this crap up. Um, but yes, Kel, if that is her, and that yeah, her case won't, her testimony wouldn't hold water if that is true. If she's the one. Um, okay. Samantha says Silky Cass County has a bigger jail and closer than the prison where RA is. Okay, that would be great. I know, even though we're a county jail, also we are way, 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 way bigger than Carroll County. So if Cass County has a jail that is our size, or even bigger, then you would think that they would be able to keep him in a medical ISO unit and him be safe. Now, is he going to improve? That's a big question. Is he going to improve? Probably not. Uh, I mean, not unless he goes to a mental hospital. But then we had one guy. I mean, he just left us again recently. It was horrible. His mental condition was so bad, and it was constantly self harm. We were at our wits' end to keep him safe. We finally found some mental institution that would take him to to fix the problem. Okay, so he was gone for a while. He comes back, and he hasn't. He's got to go before the judge, and um, he was good for a week or so. Had they sent him back and let him uh be out and go to court within a few days to 1 week, I think it would have been okay. But because of his history and because of his tendencies to harm, um we had to put him in ISO because we didn't know. The mental hospital says he's fixed, but most of them aren't fixed. So he ended up being there a couple of weeks, and even though he wasn't in there all by himself, the walls, just the whole thing made him feel very anxious, and he got really bad. Like he was just as bad when he went to court as when we sent him out. So even if Richard Allen went out, um, to a place, and they fixed him. It depends. Is it gonna, the same thing gonna happen when he comes back? Some people just do not adjust to jail well. Kelt says, ask Soros to help with the prison reform. Yeah, 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 I see that happen. Oh, George. All right. Have I answered your questions? Like I said, I didn't go into a whole lot um, of the nitty gritty. I did like kind of a synopsis because I know probably most of you saw this on, a lot of people did a great job on this, and they gave you the details. One other thing that I did want to clear up, when they said he's on the suicide watch if you miss 4 meals, in our facility is 3 meals. If you refuse to eat 3 meals consecutively, not that you're just skipping lunch or something, but 3 consecutive meals, you will go in a turtle suit. Okay, because usually now, and this is not if somebody's sick, like if you have the flu or whatever, and you're not eating, and we know the reason because you're obviously sick, we understand that it doesn't count against you. But if you are depressed and you're not eating, then it is a real problem. So could it be that he was depressed and lost his, again, could it have snowballed? Could they have put him on an antidepressant that was not right for him and he lost his appetite? I'm going to tell you, some things will make you very nauseated for the first month or so that you take them until it's in your system good. You'll have a lot of nausea. So was he nauseous and just not eating because his medication was getting, in his system? And then they said, well, he's not eating. Let's go and put him in, we're going to put him in, the unaliving tank. I don't know. See, these are the questions that I have because I don't know, and neither does anybody else because we don't have access to these records. We don't know what the progression was. We don't know why he is mentally declining. If it was a prior problem that just didn't get that was masked maybe by alcohol or whatever. Um, I don't know. That would be very interesting to find out, though. All right. Anything else? I don't want to miss anything. Even the worst cases, even the worst of the worst, don't take kindly to child killers, and many of them don't have much to lose and get clout. Yeah, yeah. When they know they're never getting out. What you going to tack on? Another life sentence? Yeah. Oh, yeah. And especially when it comes to violence amongst the community of inmates. Again, difference between county jail and prison. County jail, they're probably going to get out if they are a ward of the DOC and they know they're not getting out. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Nothing they do is going to make it better or worse, really. Like, yeah, what you going to do? I'm not getting out. Got life without parole. So what you going to do? That is a real problem. Okie dokie. Um, I think I'm going to try to end it somewhere around here. Uh, I just want to, I want to make sure there's nothing else. Did y'all hear anything that I didn't? And I'll just tell you, even though I was trying to listen and I was trying to take notes and everything last night, I was so sick. Like I just disappeared. Poof. Um, no, I may have missed some things. I tried to catch a recap today, different times in between work, listen to a little stuff. Is there anything that you think I haven't talked about that you want to know before I end? Thank you, Kelt. Thank you. Hey, my and I know I didn't advertise this, but my big yeehaw at the beginning of this show is like, yay, thank you all. I hit 1,000 subs and I am the only person watching this live. That lasted for quite some minutes, but you'll see me laughing and rambling at myself. I might make it like a outtake video of that. Uh, all right, thank you, Samantha, for hanging in there. Kel, Darren Barber investigates. Hello, and thanks for stopping by. Yes, yes, and if y'all don't have anywhere to go, I'm gonna suggest that you check out. I'm gonna hop over. Thank you, Unmasked Truth. I'm gonna hop over to the Evil CJ show because I'm a nerd. For one thing, not because he's a nerd, but because he's talking about UFOs tonight, and I've been so immersed in Delphi, I didn't even know aliens had invaded. I mean, who would have thought that the Delphi murders would be unsolved? Like, literally, aliens invaded the planet before Delphi is solved. Who would have thought? But here we are. So I'm just interested, So I'm gonna try to hop in on the chat over there, and I'm gonna try to get try to get Justice back. We've got to finish up with Carol Stanhope, and there are a lot of cases that people have asked me to cover, and I will get to that. I hope you all have a great, great weekend. Enjoy yourself. Have a good time, but stay safe. And whatever you do, stay silky. I will see you later. Bye bye.